guys, Mac or PC for Ableton? This is a question that just warrants a lot of dumb answers from a lot of people. Now, I hate fanboy stuff. Mac, PC, PS4, Xbox, PC Master Race, Chevy, GMC, Ford, whatever you are. If you're a fanboy, shut up. Every single product has something wrong with it. I've never seen a product that was fully foolproof, and I've never seen a product that was meant for every single person out there. So that is your answer. If you are thinking of this question, you need to think about your needs and your demands and not somebody else's, okay? And if you ask this question in a group, all you're going to get is somebody's answer for themselves, and they're going to be shouting it at you, or you're going to get some fanboy shit that just doesn't even make sense, like get a Mac, get an M1, get a Threadripper. That's dumb shit fanboy stuff, and I can't fucking stand it. Shut up. And if you want to get kicked out of this group, answer some stupid shit like that, and you will be sure to just get out. You might as well just get out your damn self, because I hate some stupid responses like that. Yeah, so listen, you need to ask yourself, what are your demands? Do you have clients coming over? Do you have a demanding audience? Are you using a lot of tracks? Do you do orchestral stuff? I mean, are you just some guy at home? What are your demands? What are your needs? Because depending on what you need, might warrant you to get one or the other, okay? And getting one or the other will have some compromises in it. People say Mac and people say PC, like every PC and every Mac is the same. You have a lot of garbage Macs, you have a lot of garbage PCs, and you have a lot of beast Macs and a lot of beast PCs. You're going to pay a lot of money for one and not the other. There's some issues that you're going to need to think about. Mac is going to have a more prominent planned obsolescence involved in its production, so you need to think about that as well. So with that being said, there is no wrong or right answer. Now, we have a question from Dawid Scheimer in the group. Now, we're going to go down another little rabbit hole here on how to maybe ask questions, and this is kind of pertains to this. I almost didn't let this question through, but I knew it was going to get the fanboys out, and I'm trying to do some weeding out around here, so let freedom ring. Let's read this question. Let's break down this question. Let's talk about his question and maybe what he should have said, because a lot of people come in here and they think that everybody's on the same level, or everybody's using Ableton the same way, or they're just not giving enough information for me to actually dissect this answer. Now, Dawid, you're okay with me. I'm not trying to pick on him. I'm just using you as an example. He didn't do anything wrong. I let the question through because he asked it nicely, and he wasn't being a jerk or anything. A lot of people that were doing this, I was borderline thinking that maybe he was being some kind of a fanboy guy, but after reading some of his responses, I think he's just, a PC user, and he's concerned about where he's at, and he doesn't really optimize things very well. Let's read his question here. It says, I have an i9 9900K overclocked to 4.8 gigahertz. It's not enough for me anymore. I mostly do mix and mastering. You mostly do mix and mastering from 45 to 100 tracks of what? Are they all on at the same time? You mostly do mix and mastering. Are you a professional? Are you doing this for people? Or are you just mix and master your own shit? This is a very vague kind of question. This is where I'm starting to think that, Dawid, I don't know if you quite know exactly what you're talking about here, or you're just having a hard time getting over to us, because I'm finding this to be somewhat baloney-ish. I'm also producing electronic dance music from time to time. So what are you normally producing is our question. We want to know why you're having an issue. We don't know what the fuck you're doing. We don't really care. I'm sorry, Dawid, where I'm trying to break down your question. You need to give us some more information on what you want answered in here. All right, plus hella long effects chains. I'm thinking about a new PC with the newest i9 DDR5. I don't think that's going to solve your issue, my friend. Do we have someone here with that kind of setup? Of course we do. I'm curious about the results, and I'm not 100% if I will go with the 12th gen or if I'll wait a few months until the 13th gen. Thank you in advance for your response. Well, Dawid, it sounds like you don't really have a, I don't know if you're waiting. You first of all, you have a problem and an issue with 45 to 100 tracks shoving down a whole lot of VSTs and effects chains down its throat. You're not going to get any PC that is going to handle all that very well. I don't know what your interface is like either. I'd like to see that as well. We need a lot more information in here, but I can tell you right now, even if, let me just say, if you're an orchestral person and you're working with big old orchestral stuff, you need to optimize your experience and your usage and learn maybe some send tracks or, you know, do you need everything on at the same time? Maybe some VST3s, they implement a turning off the engine while they're not in use. Maybe you can freeze and flatten. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of answers here. You shouldn't be having that type of issue. You're not optimizing yourself right, okay? Now, this kind of a question always warrants, and it brings out the people, get a Mac, get an i7, or you know, whatever I don't know, whatever they throwing out. Get a Threadripper. I don't know. I don't care what you're yelling out. If you're just yelling some shit without any elaboration, it's a dumb response. And you're a fanboy, and that's how you get kicked out, okay? That's how you're going to get kicked out of this group. Yell some stupid shit. I'm not saying like I'm a fanboy of PC or Mac. I've had both. I have both. I think they are valuable in certain situations. Now, let's kind of go back to my first response to this question here from Dawit. Hundreds of tax longs, long effects chains, overclocked at a 3.6 to a 4.8. When it turbo boosts to a 5.8, you need to look back and optimize. Not sure if this is a joke, which I kind of really thought it was, but I let it through because it was worded okay, and I felt like let's weed out some people today. You are talking to lots of people who do way more with less. I do scores with 100 tracks on 8700K with huge contact libraries loaded in at high quality. At this point, you need to have to compromise with some areas. Fleas, fratten, putting some syn tracks in. He says he uses a buttload of effects down in some things. I don't know what you're doing. Freeze, flatten, get it right, turn them to audio, and then master. You can do all that stuff. Do your mastering last in a whole different kind of a style of a project. You just can't go from one to another and just expect to be okay. You need to watch some videos probably. All right. So at the end of this, I'm saying, like, so how many cores do you think you have? How many do you think will solve your issue? How does Ableton use cores? Maybe go back to 101 and start, thinking about why you're having this issue. Because, getting more, newer version of the highest card isn't really going to give you too much more from wherever you're experiencing. And I think whatever's up here is kind of misleading. I don't think you're telling the truth fully. I don't think that's your issue. But he's already bought it. Come to find out, he's already bought the newer PC. He likes it. He is able to get a little bit more. And obviously, you're going to get better response, but he's going to run into the same issues, whatever he's doing, I think. But then again, down here, we had a whole lot of people that just came out with, M1. That's all they said. Or get a Mac. Or we got people in here that's Threadripper. And, I tell you what I like to do with people like that just doesn't want to elaborate of why maybe their product is bad. Now, if you said like a Threadripper because they don't change the, the die size and you don't have to get a new motherboard, I let things like that through. I think that's kind of a cool answer for someone who's thinking about going down that route. That's not really a fanboy answer. That's a reason why you might want to get this product instead of another. So down here I type, if you type get a Mac, I will ban you, and that's serious. So down here he's got a response here. He says, too bad I get posted now. I already bought the i9. The results are awesome. I would like to know what your results are. I'd like to know what his original problem actually was. I agree with Sky Masters about the way I work with mixes, and yes, I could stay with it old i9 and change the way I work, but the answer is time. I don't know what that means either. And yes, get a Mac is the worst answer anybody can get. It's not the worst answer. It's just a dumb answer by itself, was my main point. And then I go to elaborate on this to say what I've kind of already said before. Macs are like a PS4 console. It always turns on, it'll play that game. PCs will play the same game way better, but when you turn it on, you may need a driver update or the update has interfered with hardware conflicts. This takes brain power that some don't have the knowledge or time to deal with. Imagine you had a client who was willing to pay $1,000 an hour to work on that Beast i9 PC of yours, and you fire it up and Ableton indexes for 20 minutes, or has a Windows update or a GPU issue with monitors or whatever, and that PC will lock up. Well, you have an important client just to do it to you every time, because that happens with me, man. If I got an important thing going on here and I got somebody up here to listen to something, it usually has some kind of a hang up and lock up. I'm like, well, bear with me. Let's go get something to drink and come back up here and let Ableton fix itself while I come back up. And if you've got a PC and you do some big projects, you know what I'm talking about. It's not my optimization issue, because I'm fairly well at optimizing my PC and having only the things that I want running at the times that I want them to run. So, yeah, an index for 20 minutes. It will fire up. If I have an important client coming up, I will fire up my PC a day before and update everything, and then open Ableton and let it index the browser for locations, and then I'll let it idle until the client comes over. I never had to do that with my Mac. Now my Mac only really crashed on me one time ever, if I remember this, that I thought was something due to my fault. It was probably a third-party VST, and it was resolved with a restart fairly quickly. Now, with that being said, I've got rid of my Mac about 5 years ago, and I haven't had to deal with all these newer issues that I see them having. They seem to be stepping into that area of PC problems where things are not compatible, or they're not getting out their information to the third-party software people, and then people's VSTs are not working. That's kind of upsetting to me, and that shifts the balance over for me slightly. Somebody else can weigh in on that if they want to. With that being said, Mac is having more and more issues like that as time goes by. So you need to ask yourself, am I going in front of a live audience? Do I need to have this Ableton running in a way that I can't afford it to crash? With that, you might want to get a MacBook or whatever else like that, but then you're going to be limited by power. And even if you did that, you're going to have a problem like this guy is having. You can't just shove everything down his throat. You need to learn how to freeze and flatten, and then use send, and then working things to audio, whatever you got to do. There's some ways around it, and no matter what avenue you go down, you might find some hurdles. And depending on what kind of person you are, what your needs are, are you a person that likes to tinker inside of things? Are you the person that likes to know how the light switch gets from the light switch all the way up to the light bulb? Then maybe you're a PC guy. But if you don't care how that light switch works and how it connects to that light bulb, you just want to hit the switch and you want the light to damn work, you don't really care how it is, then maybe a Mac is for you. And that's it. Some people don't like those headaches of trying to fix everything. And that's understandable. That doesn't make you less of a person. That just, that means that you got a stable operating system like Mac uses, because Mac has a very stable operating system. The way their programs work, they go into their own little container files, and they work kind of like a portable program, if I had a way to explain that in a simple terms. They don't use that DLL library system like the Windows uses, which has gotten better because Windows PCs have gotten real powerful to handle this setback of the operating system. So if you asked this question 10 years ago, it would be a big deal. Now it's not that big of a deal. It depends on what you are using and what your demands are. And if anybody tells you anything different, then they're just a fanboy of whatever they're fanboying of. And with that being said, hit that like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on that next video.